beautiful people, welcome and welcome back to Thrive Out Loud. Kinatanolo, and as you can tell, I am excited that you were here. First things first, house rules. In here we like, we comment, we subscribe, we click on the bell notification, and we tell a friend to tell another friend to bring some popcorn because kamoki homonati nice. So hey, I just had to hype myself up with a little bit of energy because kininkirio. Guys, there's a lot going on. And I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel. You know? For starters, we are aging. I cannot believe it's my birthday next month and the age just makes me feel so.
Because what do you even mean?
But anyway, so today I figured let me have a sit down, and this one is for my varsity honeys. If you are still in varsity or you have the prospect of going to varsity soon, I think this might give you a bit of a background, what to expect, or give you a bit of reassurance if you're going through it. Say no, don't worry, these things happen and it'll come to an end. So this is the story time. Is it a story time? Yeah, man, I'm just touching base on the time I was a civil engineering student at the Vaal University of Technology. So I started my civil engineering journey with VUT in 2014. It was January of 2014, just after completing matric, and I was excited, I won't lie, because I'm very passionate about the ins and outs of things. I like knowing what goes into things. I like knowing what made a thing behave the way it behaved, specifically for structures, specifically for buildings, the different things. So, but the reason I went into civil engineering is because I like knowing, I like knowing the behind the scenes. I like being behind the scenes. I like knowing what's up. So my journey with VT, like I said, started January 2014, and it was off to a bit of a smooth start, might I add, because my matric results were quite impressive, and the varsity gave like a merit bursary. I think it was 15k at that point. I just don't know about the amount now. So they gave like a merit bursary just to congratulate you for your amazing matric results, I suppose. And it put a bit of ease, but not completely. When you can have a sigh of relief, but that the battle has not even, you're far from winning it. So but I know it just afforded me a little bit of that relief. And yeah, so the money was paid and sent it specifically to my fees. So the thing is, it just scratches the surface, if we're being honest, but it just added a bit of ease to like that situation. So now I was living in Res and I had a roommate, and I think I got a bit of a trial run of what varsity would be like in boarding school, because as I'd mentioned, I spent my primary school years in boarding school. So it wasn't really much of a shock, much of a new thing, unlike someone who had always lived at home and was now far from home and whatnot. Because I realized my roommate, baby girl, was going home every single weekend, and you know what, that's fine. Some people have really, really beautiful relationships with their families and whatnot, but I
couldn't imagine for the life of me. There's too much to discover, and
so most weekends I'd be alone. Then okay, life is going on, life is going great. I didn't really have the best of luck making friends, because I have this thing with wanting my friend to be my friend. So if I'm friends with you and you're friends with that one and that one, and that one is chowing that one's boyfriend, then it just doesn't make sense to me. Let me put this way. I struggled a bit with friendships because I have a bit of a problem with surface level friendships. Whatever I do is deep, honey. So if we are just playing and it's just all about vibes and whatnot, I'm most likely not gonna get into it because I'm not sure I can trust you, So I have this thing with wanting my friend to be my friend. So for that reason, I struggled quite a bit with like having and keeping friends. But That's not what I'm here for. I was there to focus on my schoolwork, and that is that. So the first semester was it was a bit of a shocker, because remember in high school, they're literally always in your face, reminding you to study, reminding you to do the work and whatnot. You always have someone who is like pushing you, someone who's right behind you. But when you get to varsity, there's none of that. It's the onus is literally all on you to put in the time to study and make sure that your work is up to date. So we would have 8-hour days, and like we have class from 8 to 5, and every single subject that comes in has new stuff, and if you don't want to fall behind, you will have to like revise every single day just to be on top of your game, be ahead if you can, because that's just best for you. And then my first semester, then it came and went quite quickly. And yeah, then once we got to the second semester, I feel like for me, that's when things started getting a bit real, because hotels, civil engineering is not for kids. It's not for kids. But I enjoyed it either way. I enjoyed it, and I just tried my best to keep afloat. Just that there are some subjects you feel like they were designed specifically to keep you in school. In as much as I completed all my subjects in record time, but I still feel like some subjects were just difficult for no reason. Like there was no, what was the reason? What was the need? Oh, I couldn't need. What was the need? But I feel like those are the speed bumps and potholes that kind of teach you character. They teach you discipline, and they teach you how to put in the work. When you don't grasp a concept from the onset, you put in the work until you can understand it, because you need to apply this going forward. That's the thing about the subjects in civil engineering. They are related. All of them are related. You can't even afford to say, the sun, I don't like it, so I'm just gonna half-ass it. You can't do that. They are literally all related, and the sooner you start treating them all as important and NB subjects, the better for everyone. So then, okay, life is going on. I think I went home like twice or so. First during the Easter break, and then during the June holidays, during the June recess. And I think whenever I'd go home, I'd come back even more discouraged. So just to put that into a bit of context, life is expensive. Life has always been expensive, and it doesn't start now with the stuff happening in Russia. Okay, life has always been expensive. But if I am away from home and a lot was going on, I'm away from home, and I'm just trying to keep afloat. I'm just trying to do what I'm here to do as best as I can. But there's just some things that are thrown into the mix that are honestly unnecessary, if you ask me. So the first was money, right? So in as much as I was awarded a merit bursary, it went straight to my fees. It wasn't like cash money that they gave to me. It went directly to my fees, right? So I still needed pocket money, and like money, why am I calling it pocket money? I still needed money for groceries and for like printing assignments and living. Like I still needed cold hard cash to live and survive. And during that time, my mother was sending me like, I think 250, and this was for groceries and all my cosmetics and whatever printing of assignments that needed to be done. And initially it was just, oh, okay, you know what, that's fine. But as the months went on, it made less and less sense. So whenever I'd get my allowance, I'll call it my allowance, so I'd go to the Blue supermarket, because that was the closest one to school, and I would get a 2 kg bag of rice. I'd get that small, I think it was a 1 liter of cooking oil. I'd get salt. I'd get tea bags, and I think I'd get juice, and I think mayo and tomato sauce. I can't really, but I think just it was less than 10 items whenever I'd go get my groceries. And I had to make sure that this food lasted me the whole entire month, otherwise starvation. I know the feeling of going to sleep hungry and forcing yourself to remain asleep, even though you can feel yourself getting dizzy in your sleep, but you're forcing yourself to stay asleep because what else can you do, So in our room, we didn't have a fridge, and so buying body nama and veggies was out of the question. You had to get stuff that were like non-perishables, things that could stay at room temperature, your tin stuff and whatnot. So in my groceries, I think I'd buy 2 cans of tinned fish, and yeah, so I would have those maybe every second week. Maybe on the Sunday I would cook tin fish and my rice, and that would be my meal. But because I didn't have a fridge, then I would either have to eat that the whole entire day and very early the next morning, or I'd stand to lose it all because it would get rotten again. So the months went on, and being an understanding child, I didn't ask questions. I just figured, what, this is the situation. It's normal for everyone. I mean, we're not written muki hore wena your grocery has 5 items in it, So I figured, no man, it's normal. Just be strong, put in a brave face, do what you're here to do, finish quickly so you can start working and start making money, right? That was fine. But this was a big blow when I went home. I think it was for the Easter break. Then I went home, and
my mom had reinvented her style. She was now a Gucci Han, a Louis Vuitton Han.
My closet was now not my closet anymore. She needed space to keep like her old clothes, like all her other clothes. So the closet in her room was now for putting, the premium stuff. And I was hurt. I was really touched to say, but how come? How is it that as a parent you find joy in wearing the latest designer clothes, but your child is starving? And more than anything, over the holidays when we're home, guys, we starve in Varsity, okay? So when you're home, you want to eat like a normal person, but there would be certain things that are just, you don't touch them because no. So whenever I want to eat cereal, she'd tell me, no, you have to take out like just a handful of like cornflakes or whatever you're having, just a handful, and add your milk and eat. Like there's no need to like pour the whole thing in. And it just baffled me. I'm starving, I've lost weight, and really you're counting food? I'm literally here for 3 days in like 3 months. Really? No. You're not allowed to eat certain fruits because kitangwana. You're not allowed to eat like certain quantities of foods because you're gonna finish the food, and you're not allowed to touch the snacks, kitangwana, and all of that. And so I became really unexcited about going home. I started to I'd opt to stay rest whenever there was an opportunity to go home, like long weekends and whatnot. When everyone would be going home, I'd just stay rest because when I'm home and when I'm here, the difference is the same. The starvation is just here. So I figured it doesn't really make much of a difference. So I'd go home like June and December. That's it. Then fortunately during at the beginning of my second year, when I was now going to start my S3, then I was awarded a bursary, like a full on bursary that would cover my tuition, it would cover my accommodation, it would cover my meals throughout the day, it would cover my textbooks, it would cover like everything, and petty cash. And I was also a peer tutor at that point, peer assistant, whatever that's called. But by then I was like tutoring first year students on a subject that I was really good at during that time. And that was also putting in a bit of money. And I think that's when I became alive, I would say. That's when I kind of came out of a shell. Because the thing is, when you feel like you're struggling, you want to try your level best to hide your struggles. So I had been withdrawn before that, and I wouldn't really want people to come visit Kores because I have nothing to offer them. I have nothing to offer this person, and who tends, who tricky. Then then my bursary came into effect, and life was now going smooth. It was live. Like I was now those students we saw on the prospectus, lying on the grass. I was that girl, and it was nice. It was lovely. But as the year progressed,
the subjects kept getting heavier and heavier. Like the final year, yo.
and everything is related. So whatever you did in like the first semester, you probably got to do it in the second semester. Like maybe there was a water 2 and a water 3. Like there was a structural analysis 2, structural analysis 3. There was a design 2, design 3. Get it? So everything is related. And now it's just tense the whole entire time. Like you can write a 3-hour test
and come out with 0.
It's possible, it's possible. So that's when I saw that this thing, like there's no such thing as being smart. You had to study there. You have to work your ass off to get things done. The year is going on, the year is progressing, and as the second semester is drawing to like a close, then depression starts setting in, because by now, according to my timelines, by now I should have secured my internship. By now I should know what my plan is, because this is my final year. It means once I'm done with this, I'm going back home, and we all know what there is at home, and I'm not looking forward to it. So depression starts setting in. I'm getting anxious about the new year. It was like September, people are excited, the new year's coming, like the festive season is coming. But I couldn't be excited. I couldn't for the love of me be excited. Because I knew what was waiting for me, because the entire year I was funded by Varsity, and I was not allowed to tell anyone. My mom had told me not to tell anyone. She had said like specifically, don't even tell your grandmother, don't tell your uncles and aunts, don't tell anyone. And this was very difficult, because people that know your potential, you can kind of gauge, but this person with the potential they have, they can only suffer until this level. It didn't make sense that I don't get funded during my studies. It didn't make sense. But now you have to pretend like you're not getting funded, just so a person can keep pretending like, she's doing the absolute most for you and she's suffering, and so all of that just started to weigh down on me, and I became a bit more withdrawn again towards the end of my second year, because life was not moving the way I thought it was. Like by then, I thought I would have had a couple of interviews, and I would already have, a couple of companies to choose from on where I was going to do my in-service training or my, work integrated learning. But nothing was coming. So by then, one of the few things that kept me going was my involvement in the SciC student chapter. Wow, I should have touched on this in the beginning. So in the very beginning, there was a couple of guys that were in Bikeso, VUT, and they came, they're like, hey, we're looking for new members, and we went, for interviews. And initially I joined as like the deputy secretary, and then I think my friend was the secretary, and then at some point there was a reshuffling, and then I was the secretary. And then at the end of that semester, then there were re-elections again, and then I was the deputy chairperson, because I was really active in this thing. I loved it. I still do, but obviously now from the outside it's a bit hard to to give a helping hand, a direct helping hand. And then after deputy chairperson, then I was the chairperson. So I was very involved in matters involving civil engineering students, matters involving our industry, whatever events we wanted to host at school. It was very easy to kind of get the support of the department and get the support of SciC and just get the involvement from the industry, general involvement. So then that also worked in my advantage when I was now looking for an internship. So December came, and I packed all my stuff and I went home, and I was a sad human being, sad babies worldwide. I was sad, because I by that point I had seen the unemployment statistics, and I didn't want to be a statistic, and I had been applying my ass off. I had been applying every single day, and not one person got back to me, not one, so it started to sting hard. Then the festive comes, then January comes, and then I think it was sometime during the last week of Jan, I got a call from the admin lady at school that time, OS Patients. OS Patients gave me a call, said, "Hi Nana, how you doing? So there's a company that's looking for students to mentor, like students to come do the in-service training there. Are you available?" I was like, "Yes, I'm available." So she was like, "The interview is the next day." And so I had to travel from Limpopo to my uncle's house in Turin and get ready and quickly go be interviewed in Randburg, and it was all chip chop chop. But at the end of the interview, then they told me on the spot, "We are definitely hiring you," and that would be the beginning of a very beautiful working relationship. This was now 2016, and I started working there, and it just made me realize that being part of things, it's not because you like things, like Bikeso, for instance, because sometimes we would need to have meetings and events when other kids are studying and whatnot, and because you are like in the committee, you can't excuse yourself from it. And for the longest time, it looks like it yielded no results. It looked like you're just wasting your time being part of this thing, whereas you could be studying and whatnot. But to be able to secure employment solely because of, I'd say, my network, solely because of my participation in other things like extramural activities, that it added an extra cherry to a cake that already had a cherry, because life must move. And then I started working in this company. It was a beautiful, beautiful company. It had a beautiful, beautiful work culture. It was like a family. It was like you're at home. And work was nice. I was in the design department, and I fell in love with design right there and then. Initially, I fell in love with the design of water reticulation and sewer systems and stormwater designs initially. So because that's what I was doing mostly. So I liked it, I loved it, and I was like, okay, whenever I get to do my BTEC, I'm gonna do my BTEC in water, right? And then I think from the following year, then I got exposed to structures, and I realized that water can actually wait. I was inclined to water because I was good at it. I was extremely good at it during my diploma days. But structures, there was just something about structures that forced me to think more, think outside the box. To think, you actually have to think. You have to think and make sure that you stick with that train of thought until you get to the final answer. So then I ended up deciding to do my BTEC in structures, and I did my BTEC from 2018 to 2019 and completed it end of 2019, right before the panoramic. And we obviously couldn't graduate because panoramic. So to this day, the only graduation photos I have are from my national diploma. I graduated in 2017 April, and those are the only pictures I have of graduation. I was looking forward to my BTEC graduation, but COVID struck, and it coincided with me having a big belly and a nose that was all over my face. I was like, you know what? I'm not complaining. But so that's the end of my my VUT journey as a civil engineering / structural engineering student. I don't know who needs to see this or who needs to watch this or if it resonates with anyone, but I just felt like sitting down and sharing a bit of it.